Welcome ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls of all ages. Today I am going to be making a dice tower. So that's a thing that you can roll dice through to improve your odds 1000% of rolling whatever you want. So you drop the dice through the top and the dice should tumble through and come out the bottom. Yes, you can roll dice in your hands like a peasant. This is just a bit of fun. So it's going to be a piece of terrain, once again like any of my other Necromunda pieces of terrain, that should be modular and can slot into a Zone Mortalis tile. That is the brief. Will it happen? Let's wait and see. So a traditional tower is, fun enough, tower shaped. So if it's going to be on the Zone Mortalis tiles and lock into place, what better shape to start with than the columns? The columns come from the columns and wall box, which is, fun enough, a Zone Mortalis set, for those who don't know, and they can easily interlock into each other by flipping over the centerpiece. So it can either be individual, like so, or locking into place, like that. So if I'm going to roll some dice through this tower, I'm going to have to cut the center of this out so the dice can easily tumble through. Now it'd be a bit boring if the dice just fell through this column. It needs to hit different panels on the way down. So, I've got a bit of a theme in mind with this. What kind of tower haven't I done already for Necromunda that is very Necromunda-y? I'm thinking a meat grinder of some kind. So lots of blades inside, so the dice will hit these blades and roll down through. Yes, you could use little slopes of plastic possibly at angles like so. So you get a slope there and then another slope there maybe. And the dice will hit these slopes and roll, hit and roll, rather than just falling through a cylinder. For example, I want them to hit something on the way down, and why not have something that you can actually look at that doesn't just look like a slope. So I'm thinking a meat grinder, so a piece of terrain, maybe a staircase around it, and a way to dump bodies into the top, because nothing is wasted in Necromunda. Yes, it's very dark, it's very gross, but corpse starch, funny enough, comes from corpses. So that's what I'm going to do. It's a very happy video. It's fine. It's fine. It's a very happy video, I swear. It'll be fine. So to make the grinder mechanism, I've dug through my bits box and I found some till rolls, which means the little paper print-offs that you get from tills. The center of normally is a plastic roll like this, and I have found on eBay, I think it was like £1, a load of gears and things like that for clocks and fake clocks and jewellery to make it look like it's clocks. I wouldn't have thought that these were actually pieces of a clock, because there are two little tabs on, which I will cut like so to make it more gear-like. But I've got loads of these, loads of different shapes and sizes, so I'm going to be using some of these that just flail the bodies, beat the bodies about, and then I've got ones that will proper mince the bodies. So I've got loads and loads of these, loads of different sizes, shapes, like so. Now, if you don't have till rows, which, if you know somebody who works for a company or works in an office, chances are they just chuck these away. Me, I keep everything. But other bits of plastic will do. I find pens are quite useful. So you can make hydraulic pistons with pens, especially little clicky pens. Or you can make things like this. I'm going to put loads of these on here, and they're going to look like they're mincing bodies on the way down through. And somehow I'm going to attach them inside, like so. Be careful to leave enough space for a decent size dice. So the Necromunda dice are fairly chonky. So, for example, these two dice are about the same size as these cogs and gears. So I thought that would be a pretty nice size. Right, let's begin. So the rotating blades have worked out pretty well with the paper insert for the card reader machines or anything that gives a receipt. They're approximately all the right size, and the cogs have worked pretty well actually. Looks very much like it would mince up the body. So I put it to one side so you could drop a dice down one side and it's not going to get in the way. As cool as these are, if I put another one lower down, I'm pretty sure it would just stick and sit on the top. So I have to be very careful how I put these in, because I don't want it to do that into the dice tower. I want it to hit about there and roll on in. This is the top part of the dice tower, and this is the bottom part. And remember, the section in between, like this, sits. And I could have used a soldering iron or a drill or something to get rid of the inside. But I decided to spend a bit of time with a knife, because that's a nice bit of detail. And rule number one, never chuck anything away. So yeah, I'm going to stick that in there. And I'm going to stick that one inside there as well. So I have stuck the tower in place. I've got two rollers, if you can just about see that one there. And the cogs are great because dice don't really want to sit on top of a cog at speed anyway. So I'm going to show you the view from above. So with the two rollers, just chucking two dice in there for example, should rattle down through. So if you noticed, the dice don't go anywhere. That's the next stage. I'm going to cut out a bit on the side. So once it hits the roller, it wants to come out this side. So I'm going to cut open on that side, but still making it look like it's not just a busted piece of Necromunda terrain. I need to make it look like it fits right in. So after cutting that section out there, I was thinking that the dice do roll out sometimes, but other times they stay inside like so. Thank you for the assist dice. So I was thinking I need a little bit of a slope, just enough to roll those dice out. Too much and the dice will go flying. Too little and the dice will just sit there. So I've got loads and loads of bits from the Zone Mortalis stuff that I could use, like the doors and things like that. Of course you could use plasticard, that's fine, but I still want to use Zone Mortalis bits. So what have I got? Like I said, I do have the trusty doors. Lots of them in fact, so I thought this would be pretty cool to make a bit of a slope. Also, I spent ages and ages and ages and ages and ages with a knife working down the seam, because I thought it would be pretty cool to use these on the top, one side, one the other side, just because it just looks cool, and the remaining bits make a slope. If it didn't take so gosh darn long, I might do this more often, because that is aesthetically pleasing and looks cool in my head. So maybe with the Zone Mortalis doors, I could cut some and have a door like wedged open and stick it inside the pillars, because it just looks cool. But it did take a flipping age, and I had a load of cheap blades, which is a bad idea, and they kept snapping off inside there. But I have got all three of my fingers remaining, so success. Nom 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 nom. It just looks cool. It looks cool. I might do that another time. Have a busted door or something like that. because once it's glued in place, obviously you can't close the doors. Yeah, anyhow, I just thought it looked cool. So I spent hours and hours and hours and hours just cutting these bits effectively, just to put on top of the column, because it looks cool. You don't need that for the build, but it does look a little bit nicer. Okay, so I've got the top bit in, bit of green stuff around the edges, and mill putt. Smooth it off. Could have been a bit neater with the old knife. And then I've got the remaining piece stuck inside there. A bit of an angle, not too much of an angle, but enough to roll the dice out. Here we go. So the dice should go a few inches away, not too far, at least it doesn't stop inside of the tower itself. And I've kept it modular, i.e. I've got an angle and slightly off the corners, so I can put it on the tiles and still be reasonably secure. It's still modular for the Zone Mortalis tiles, and that's what I was planning from the start. Okay, once you got your tower, your main tower, the main core of the build done, adding the next stage is up to your own personal taste. So what I'm thinking is possibly some stairs around the tower, maybe a lift, because somehow you've got to get those corpses up there, right? Or why not have it mass produced, i.e. The old crane that you get on the Sector Mechanicus stuff, maybe dropping bodies in like this, or maybe a series of pipes and just pumping those bodies in and mixing them up en masse. So rather than a body at a time or two with a claw, wouldn't it be nicer to pump your bodies in this meat grinder en masse? You know, it's industrialization, isn't it, right? So I want to make a staircase to go around that side, just over there, and curl around the pillar and go up on here. So I've got quite a few of these gantries left over from the Gang Stronghold box. I think it'd be pretty cool as a bit more industrially kind of, rather than just regular platforms. So I'm going to cut that bit off there, obviously keep it, because rule number one, and then I'm going to cut along there, and I'm probably going to use the other section as well right next to it, so side by side, as if it was slotting in like a regular one, but just looks a little bit cooler, I think, a bit more industrial gantry looking. So there you have the main assembly. I've got enough height so I can drop the dice in without my hand smacking any piece of the terrain. I've got enough walkway here, so if I put another wall here at some stage with another gantry and column, and you know, it slots in with the rest of my underhive city, I can have models walk around it, so that's why I didn't want to put any barriers and stuff up. I can even get a nice juicy Goliath size base on there, not a problem. Same with over here, I haven't put a handrail there or there, purely because if I want to slot that in also to another piece of terrain, another set of stairs maybe, that will slot in. So I made it pretty damn modular. The only rails I've got is the one over there, mainly because it's got controls on it for the meat sludge going inside. Something I was pretty chuffed about was the little fence there, so it looks like it drops down if it needs be to cut it off. It is actually made from one of the many ladders that I have for Necromunda terrain as well. So it's mostly Necromunda terrain, so the Zone Mortalis stuff, a little bit of Sector Mechanicus stuff, a little bit of the Stronghold. The only thing that's not GW in any stretch of imagination is the mesh itself, the rollers itself, the gears, which were part of a cheap clock assembly, and the rollers were part of a till roll. So the center of the piece of paper, that drops out, and then obviously I keep it because I never chuck anything away. And that's pretty good, I would say. And proof is in the pudding, so I am going to drop the dice in here. And the dice shouldn't go much further than that because I've angled it just so. And it doesn't interfere, the fence doesn't interfere with the dice rolling either, so it keeps the dice still fairly low down. So it hits 2 rollers, then it hits a flat, then it hits the deck. I could make a third layer with another column, I suppose, but for the time being, I was pretty chuffed with that. I might even modify it in future, cut that off and put it further up again. But yeah, I'll give a little bit of a spin on the catwalk and show you guys all the angles. I just left it there just for a second, just to show you you can slot it in to the tiles, nice and secure. It's going nowhere, son. So as you can see, there's nothing underneath here. I could put something there to strengthen it up, but I like the idea of models fighting underneath there as well. So I've got a couple of these I could stack on top of each other, or a nice pipe or something like that. But it's reasonably sturdy. It's glued in 3 different places, I think. So glued there, glued there, that thing glued there. So technically 2 places, I suppose. So unless something stupidly heavy hits it and it's a decent plastic glue, it should go nowhere. And of course, I've got the splooge pipe up here, and you can see the cogs inside. I suppose that's half a job really, Ross, isn't it? What you should have done is have mechanical whirling gears spinning at high RPM, so when you drop the dice in, it's actually forced through. Missed a trick there, but of course I wouldn't do that because those gears could actually be quite sharp, and there might be some real meat going through that meat grinder. So, I wonder if I should throw some paint at it. And there we go. Just a little bit of paint thrown at it. It took me a few hours, but this is the paint recipe that I've used before on a few of my Necromunda buildings that I know I like. Used a bit of chipping medium. I can always agitate that a bit more, a bit of water, and make a bit more mess. I've got some chipping here from the chipping medium. I can do it on other sections of the columns and walls and stuff. But yeah, reasonably happy with it. So as you can see, this is the front, a little bit of object source lighting, make it nice and grimdark with some washes, enamel washes, and using the flesh tony kind of colours. So it's dead flesh apparently. It's not alive flesh or dwarven flesh or pinky flesh, and then throwing some enamels over the top to make it nice and dirty. So I can't quite get the whole piece on camera because it is rather tall, rather large. So it's over 3 columns high for Necromunda, so it's like nearly 4 columns high. But yeah, pretty chuffed with this thing. Didn't take me very long to make really. Most time is usual Ross getting his head around stuff. What am I going to do? How am I going to put it together? But I've never made a dice tower before, so I thought why not make a Necromunda dice tower, because I do love me my Necromunda. Well, thank you for watching, guys. Hopefully maybe this inspired you. Maybe you just wanted to laugh at me throwing stuff together. But really enjoyed this, and I'm glad it came out, in my opinion, so well. It certainly matches my tables anyway. Worst bit of the whole build, making the bits on the top there from the door by slowly cutting and cutting and cutting that door. Took forever and a day. Ice Ages have come and gone quicker. But yeah, really enjoyed the build. Like I said, it's modular, fully modular, so it slots into my Zone Mortalis tables, tiles even. And yeah, I would like to see what you guys have got on hobby desk at the moment, especially if it's Necromunda. That definitely ticks my boxes. So stay safe everyone, and catch you on the next video.